We live in a very tricky season, extremely tricky. And the decisions you make going forward are going to be critical for your survival. I'm talking about you, your survival. And in this season, it is clear that when you make a decision, you'll need not to be worried about what other people are thinking or what other people will think about you. Yeah, because at the end of the day, your survival in the future, your comfort in the future, does not have to be based on a popularity contest right now. Let me give you a quick example, because I know most of us are still in the dark. There are some people who have made a very conscious decision to move out of big cities. And some of them have moved to rural areas. Very inconveniencing, doesn't make sense. Their friends are making fun of them. What's wrong with this man? What's wrong with this woman? And of course their decisions have been based on information. Now, information in this season we live in is critical. Because, for instance, why is it that we are being denied so much information? Why are there deliberate efforts to spread misinformation and propaganda, confuse people, especially immediately after somebody has released information that is inconvenient, that affects some certain people's agenda? Yeah, why? So information going forward is going to be critical. And the best information for you to get is not information you get from Kumekucha Chris. No. Not information you get from other outside sources. It is information that you figure out for yourself. Okay? Now, I understand. We live in a very fast-paced world. There is no time. There is no time to read a news item and then sit down trying to figure it all out. It's true, there's no time. However, I'm sorry, you have no choice. Why? Because of where we're going. That was just a very important heads up as we go into my show today, where a lot of strange things are happening on the local scene. Yeah, you'll be able to take in all this with the right frame of mind to understand that some things that may not seem to be important right now may be critically, very, extremely important. And so as I go into my show today, please, you may want to go back to the very beginning of this video and review everything I've said, yeah, and think about it. It is important. I would not tell you it is important if it was not important. Please, trust me on that one. Now, don't you find it strange that retired President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who we have known for a very long time, is against Raila Odinga's bid for the AU post? Don't you find it strange that very suddenly his office releases a statement telling Kenyans that Uhuru is fully supporting Raila's bid for that AU job? Don't you find that strange? Hey, I find it extremely strange. And in my opinion, it would suggest only one thing. Yeah, that there's some pressure coming from somewhere. Please allow me to leave it there. Now, we all know that President William Samoei Ruto is a micromanager. He likes to micromanage everything. That is not breaking news. Those of us who are keenly following Kenyan politics and the Kenyan scene already know that. that is very old stale news. Okay? But now, I'm beginning to ask myself a question. And the question is, yes, this man is a micromanager, but is it possible that the pressure to micromanage certain aspects in our country may be not from within? That is the question I'm beginning to ask myself. And I've taken you very deep into my current ongoing research. Okay, I'm looking for a link or links. Okay, it's what I do. You know, there is an ongoing case involving bank fraud that has really hit the headlines and has puzzled Kenyans a lot. Okay? And the government, the executive, has gotten very involved with this particular case of bank fraud. Now, I don't know about you, but in my opinion, a president is not a headmaster to micromanage everything. When the executive gets involved in very many small, tiny issues that are best handled elsewhere without the interference of the executive, one has to suspect that the really important things the executive should be dealing with may not be getting enough quality time. Okay? That is rather obvious. Anyway, this case of bank fraud is the Equity Bank Manenos, where about 1.5 billion Kenya shillings just vanished in 47 transactions from a certain account, from the bank's payroll account. I'm sure we're all aware of that case. This unfolded way back in July this year, July 10th. And shortly after that, a senior manager at the bank, who incidentally was on leave at the time, was linked to the disappearance of these funds because it was discovered that it is his credentials that oversaw the transactions, the 47 transactions that led to the disappearance of these funds. But the man was on leave when all this was unfolding, which could mean a lot of things. Now, he was charged in court, and the prosecution wanted to hold him for 21 days so that they complete investigations into this matter. However, the court declined, and he was released on bond. But the real drama started on August 11th, a Sunday. On that day, David Kimani, that manager, was abducted from his home, by Subarus. Need I say more? And then on the very same day, his dad, Bwana Joseph Kimani, was also abducted at night from his house, and the whole drama was captured on CCTV, which the family released on social media, so that we all saw exactly how it went down. Now, to date, nobody knows the whereabouts of the manager at the Equity Bank involved in this, whom prosecutors have linked to this, Bwana David Kimani. But his father was released a few days later, on August 13th, and when he came out, he was not talking. And when the press caught up with him, he said he was not able to say anything. Okay? Now, some very distressed family members revealed that Bwana Kimani was very shaken. And then they said something else. They said that he had been warned never ever to attempt to speak to the media, giving them details of what happened to him. He should just remain mum. Afunge mdomo, aseme kitu. Okay? And then the family also revealed that he had told them that where he was held, wait for this one, he could hear the noise of wild animals like lions and hyenas close by. So you can imagine how terrifying that ordeal must have been. But he was told, funga mdomo. Now the latest information emerging is that this particular case has been moved from the banking fraud unit to the DCI, where it is being personally supervised by the DCI boss, Bwana Mohammed Amin. Now, that is a very strange story, extremely strange. Okay, we can see that the state has gotten involved. The court refused to hold a suspect for 21 days while they completed investigation, because the court saw no grounds. You know, you have to give the court reasons, valid reasons, why you want to do that. The prosecution did not succeed, and therefore the man was released. And then later what happened? He was abducted by state agents. That is the country we're living in. What? Now, of course, the question here is, what does this information tell us? Yeah? And what does this very determined effort to keep information from us, the public, tell us? Of course, what it tells us is that the law is being broken. Yeah, there's complete disregard for the rule of law by the state. That is an important piece of information for any Kenyan to have. Yeah, because it means, and I'm sorry to give you this bad news, it means that today in Kenya, you are not fully protected by the law. And that is a very, very crazy situation. Yeah, if you understand. Now, I want you to understand that Kenya shillings 1.5 billion is not chicken feed. That is a huge amount of mandazi money. It is a colossal amount of money. Okay? Secondly, this money was transferred into known accounts in other banks, which are not owned by robots. They are owned by people. So that is what makes this case even stranger, because there have been no other arrests except this one manager at the Equity who was on leave. So the big question there is why? Why? How can you explain this? Huh? And then there's something very strange that happened yesterday. You see, teachers have been on strike. That strike by teachers has paralyzed learning in secondary schools. Yeah, and that strike entered the second week. Yesterday, Monday. However, something very strange happened late yesterday. The teachers' union, which had been very firm, though not moving an inch early in the day, held a presser later in the day and came out and said, the strike is over. We order teachers to go back to work. Did the government balk and agree to the teachers' demands? No. They are still talking. And what some sources have said is that these union officials waliwekwa box na threats. What? Folks, that is the Kenya you live in. That is the Kenya where your loved ones and your relatives are living. And so, ka rada, ka chonjo. This is a very different country, very different scenario. And therefore, make your decisions daily accordingly. Don't make your decisions based on ancient history, how things were before in the country called Kenya. No, you're going to suffer. Make all your decisions based on the current reality. The current reality full of mysteries. The current reality where the most important things, the most important news is not in the public domain. It is all happening chini ya maji. Yeah. Although fortunately, once in a while, we do come across information that tells us very clearly what is happening chini ya maji, which informs what we are seeing, the mysteries unfolding right before us. And of course, the perfect example is contained in my very latest special report. And this is a story like no other. It neatly explains a lot of very strange, bizarre things that have been happening in our country since last year. And not only that, it gives you a clear view of what to expect very shortly. I'm afraid not good things. But fortunately, very, very fortunately, every dark cloud also has a silver lining. It is all there in my special report. Now you can see details on your screens right now. For only Kenya shillings 2,999 or $24 only, you can have this information that will make things so clear to you that there will no longer be any confusion when you're analyzing Kenyan politics. And neither will there be any confusion when you're trying to predict what is going to unfold shortly. Now, I need only 20 people. This is not the kind of information, unfortunately, that can be distributed widely, for obvious reasons. And I'm almost at that number. So please rush, take full advantage of this offer right now, and make sure you squeeze yourself into that group that ends up with this super sensitive info. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.